Okay, let's call the meeting to order. We have a presentation from the DuPage County Historical Museum, a new exhibit inheriting, first, Mike, would you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Commissioner VanderSchaaf.
Here.
Commissioner Morrow.
Here.
Commissioner Mee.
Here.
Vice President Luetkehans.
Here.
Commissioner Schobel indicated he would be running slightly late.
Okay, we have a quorum. Then we have a presentation from the DuPage County Historical Museum.
How are you?
Hi, Sarah.
I passed out some postcards that we created for the exhibit. We had a new exhibit open on Saturday, Inheriting DuPage, A Family History. It'll be up for almost a year, and it's special for us because it's in conjunction with this year being the 175th anniversary of the founding of DuPage County. The documents were signed 175 years ago. The collection that we're showing in the exhibit came to us just before I started working there, and it was a woman who had passed away. Her family contacted the museum, and the museum staff ended up realizing that she was related to 5 of the early founding families in DuPage and kept almost everything. So we have over 5,000 pieces in the donation, including furniture, photographs, letters, diaries, things like that, documenting the family's immigration to the United States and settling in Ohio, and then journeying to DuPage County and settling here. So it'll be up again, as I mentioned, for almost a year. We're pretty excited about it, and the promotional materials look great. We've had really good feedback so far. So,
Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions?
Just, Sarah, keep up the good work.
oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Do we have anyone signed up for public comment? No, sir. Is anyone here who would like to make public comment? Hearing none, I would ask for a motion on the consent agenda.
So move. Second, with a minor change in the minutes. It relates to Commissioner comments. There's a question asked about the revenues of the pool that appear to be decreasing, and there is a response in there, but it just wasn't the question. So it's a minor change. If you need the specific location, I can give that to you.
Why don't you, Terry, just so
Okay.
we're all voting on what we need to
Gotcha.
vote.
It would be, hang in there, under the section reports from staff, bottom 2 lines, Commissioner Mee congratulated Benard and staff on the Cosmic Classic and Brewfest. Both were well attended. Then it goes into Commissioner Morrill and Schobel. Both thought it was a combination of weather, so on and so forth.
We lost a little bit
Yeah,
there.
it was just a question of, the decreasing revenues, pool revenues
Yep.
over the last 2 years.
Okay, so we'll add that question. What, to our knowledge, was the reason for the decreasing revenues? Given that, Ray, will you accept that change to your motion?
Yes, I will.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Ayes have it. New business, bid results and recommendation, concrete for driving range upgrade in the amount of $116,227. We have a handout, but is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay.
I'll second it.
There being a motion and a second, you are being handed something that the Buildings and Grounds Committee asked to be provided to you for this meeting, and that is some renderings. And Rob, do we have a large one of this for anybody who's watching at home, or of the improvements, the concrete, and what this will look like under what you're paying for? Does anybody have any questions of Rob or staff on this?
I would just offer a comment if you're prepared for that. Commissioner Schobel and I met with the staff for a considerable period of time about this and some other issues, but the the range has not been renovated essentially since 1990, so we have some retro work to do. So these to us seem very reasonably priced improvements.
Anybody else?
Do we not have a ramp there right now?
We do not.
And I think one thing there's been discussions about completely changing what we do in that range area to a grass range and a lot more expensive options. I think with this my gut is that the Park District is kind of saying, we're not going for those expensive options, at least in the very near future. If we're going to spend $110,000 on this or whatever the number is, this is really what we're going to live with for at least for the foreseeable future. At least that would be my recommendation to staff and to the Park District.
Yeah, and the subcommittee certainly has looked at that, but yeah, it's difficult to justify, what would be a significant expense to the Park District. So I think this will have to carry us forward for a time.
And I'm okay with the concept. I just want to make sure everybody understands that's kind of where we're headed. It's kind of a longer-term solution than what. And so, Mike, you want to take the roll?
Commissioner VanderSchaaf.
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill.
Yes.
Commissioner Mee.
Yes.
Vice President Luetkehans.
Yes. Item 2, bids, results, and recommendations, program guide printing 2015 editions in the amount of $112,058. And I think the bid is, or the request is to give this to Strathmore.
Strathmore, correct.
I can't find mine, so.
I move approval of this, the bid contract for Strathmore Company for printing services for 2015 program guides in the amount of $112,058.
And for the record, this is the low bidder. Any other questions, comments?
Second.
So, we talk about this every year about what we're doing to help move people online. Because this, while cheaper than it has been in years past, I don't see where we're trying to push more of that online. We're still continuing to print a lot, and we're still continuing to deliver a lot. So I'd like to see us seriously try to move people to online instead of all of the brochures that we print.
Staff would be happy to update the board on our efforts and what we may be planning for the future in that regard.
Why don't we put that on the agenda for a staff report of some sort, let's say the November meeting? Give them a couple months to get ready and tell us how they're intending to do that, because I know that's a question that's been asked before.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've heard some answers, but I don't think I feel comfortable yet either. So if you could Donna, if you could put that on the November, just a short presentation as to what efforts we've taken, what we intend to do going forward, that kind of stuff. That's Margie's ball of wax, but okay. Mike, you want to take the roll?
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill?
Yes.
Commissioner VanderSchaaf?
Yes.
Vice President Kelly? Luetkehans.
That's okay.
It's going to happen.
I'm not real worried about it. Yes. Motion carries. New business, approval to purchase an installation of playground safety surfacing in the amount of $47,263.32 to Compin Inc., Veriturf, and it's to be reimbursed by the Play for All Foundation in accordance with Ordinance 2014-05. Is there a motion?
Move to approve and just add that it is for the Sensory Playground Phase 1 surfacing.
Second it.
Any questions, comments?
I do. So there was a comment made in here that we are under a tight deadline, limited time, and the limited time we have to complete the project. So I don't know who Rob, should I be asking you?
I can address that, Kim. We are having a dedication on October 11th. You may recall some previous board communication for all of the donors and founding partners for this project. And we want to have as much of the project complete as possible by the time that dedication takes place. And with the myriad of events and activities, October 11th turned out to be the best time weather-wise for that risk, as well as everything else that's going on in the agency and in the county.
Kim, I don't mean to cut you off, but just for the record, if Donna, if you could show that Commissioner Schobel just walked in the room. Go ahead, Kim, I'm sorry.
So we've known about that timeline for some time now. So I'm just wondering why we couldn't have accommodated a bid process within the timeline that we have.
Well, the construction season has been affected pretty dramatically by weather, as well as other projects that Larry's group is undertaking. So, factually, it wasn't as long as as you are thinking as it relates to when we're going to have that event. I believe it was a month, 6 weeks ago, that date was set. I can have Rob address it, but the negotiating ability that the Play for All Foundation has actually yielded in the vicinity of $30,000 to $40,000 less of an agreed-to price than was originally assumed we would have to pay based on our previous projects.
Okay, what do you mean by that? So we did not negotiate these contracts. This was negotiated by the Play for All Foundation?
Yes, yes, that's correct. So, and again, you notice the Play for All Foundation allocated up to $75,000, and we were able to get that price in at $47 and some change. So,
And they will ultimately pay for it.
yeah, it's complete reimbursement.
Are we allowed, if we are not the ones negotiating this, I mean, it's coming through us and then we'll be reimbursed. Are we allowed to accept these bids if we're not the ones negotiating?
Rob, you want to proceed?
These bids are actually a cooperative network, so similar to what we approved for the synthetic turf at Central.
Okay.
They are bid out by other agencies, and those prices are extended across to basically anyone across the country within local government that has the ability to enter into
Okay,
these
so
contracts.
just so I understand, because I think I was confused as well, what this really is we're co-op purchasing this. We're not, and that's why we're not bidding it pursuant to state statute. We're using the co-op process that we can use pursuant to state statute to obtain this money, these numbers.
That's correct.
Okay. And, okay.
So for Compan, you'll notice on the sales quote, this is through the U.S. Communities Government Purchasing Alliance. So we have the backup material on it. I don't know if I included it specifically, but the contract demonstrates who originally bid this and how they're a part of that network.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Mike, you want to take the roll?
Commissioner VanderSchaaf,
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel,
Abstain.
Commissioner Morrow.
Yes.
Commissioner Mee.
Yes.
Vice President Luetkehans.
Yes. Lost.
Leisure Center report.
Yeah, I guess but got it. That's why they're in the wrong order. Okay. Leisure Center 2013 annual report from the staff. Anybody have any questions, comments?
So if I recall correctly, we have someone retiring. Is that...
Actually, we have our travel coordinator retiring in December.
Okay.
Yep, you're exactly right. Yep.
How many years has she been with us?
19, long time. She's done an outstanding job. She started as an office assistant and grew into her job. So,
Yeah, I wanted to congratulate Phyllis and her husband Steve and wish them well when they, I don't know, where are they moving? Somewhere warm, I think.
yeah, Raleigh. They love to golf, and her daughter is having a baby. So in December, you can come to her party, right? In
Actually,
December.
I went to high
4th.
school with them, believe it or not, in Brookfield. Would also like to say I love the numbers as far as your budget is concerned.
Thank you.
Doing very well, and it's good to see.
Thank you.
Nice
Right.
report.
Very.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Lynn, I just want to say it was an excellent photo and graphic display. I mean, it,
Oh, thank you.
You know, it really took you through the report, and it was easy to follow, and it was enjoyable. Ray touched on the budget page 13. Is that actually an increase in revenue, and is it due to the increase in rentals of the leisure center?
4,500 or so is due to the rentals, and the rest is program revenue.
Okay, I just see that, it was an increase by about $5,000. So most of it was in rentals?
No, actually, rentals was included in the budget for the last 3 years.
Okay.
So
So is
Most
this-
of the revenue increase this year was actually program and travel revenue.
Okay, excellent. Good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, do you have anything? Kim?
Good report.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Linda.
Executive Director,
Okay.
any report, Mike?
Yeah, briefly, you will recall that the 2015 budget proposal was tendered to the Board of Commissioners on the 29th of August. Unless there's any objections, staff will place that budget on 30-day public display. In between tomorrow and the end of that period, President Kelly and the Finance Subcommittee will be scheduling either one or two Committee of the Whole meetings for discussion on capital projects, prioritization, and other operating budget items.
Is there any report from Finance, Special Facilities, Marketing, Development, Rec, Parks and Planning?
Not beyond what you have in your.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Steve?
I just want to congratulate this resident and his wife who did the triathlon at Northside Pool or Northside Park. I thought that was kind of cool. 90 kids participated in swimming, biking, and running. And maybe that's something we need to look at for Rice Pool as well, and maybe some competition between Northside Pool and Rice Pool might be fun as well. But that hit me as being a pretty neat event. So
I'm going to be the leader at Rice Pool.
yeah, right.
Terry?
Yep.
Thank you. Very nice.
I just wanted to recognize the push from staff and the outcome of the establishment of that synthetic turf field at Graff Park. I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, it really looks good. Has it, so far, I know it's new, but has it met our expectations in terms of the play?
Very next day.
I mean, it's beautiful. I also wanted to say, green team, keep going. You know, a lot of recycling efforts there, and that's a good thing. And Margie, question to you. I see that what our revenue is for the Cosley Classic this year, $34,000. Is that up or down from last year?
He was up, so he got 4,000.
Okay, good. Good. Thank you very much.
How are ticket sales going for the wine and cultural event this weekend?
We are in the vicinity of 200 pre-sold at this point in time. Is that accurate? Thank you.
And what were we at last year? How were we trending?
About the same.
Anybody else? The one, I guess the most, the one thing that kind of jumped out with me was the Rams football participation dropping about 20%, give or take. Maybe it's 18, just off the top of my head. Do we have anything we're attributing that to, Mary Beth, or is it just the society right now when everybody's saying, hey, our kids shouldn't be playing football at 9?
I think that could be the concussion, too.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's pretty much across the board.
Okay. That's all we, if anybody have any other thing on comments from the board? Okay, we do have one other staff report. This came up Monday, I believe, or at least it got to John and I Monday. At Cosley, there is a possible change order, and Rob and ERA, our architect engineer, is going to present a short discussion of that, very short.
On the parking lot?
Yeah. And the reason, and what it's here for today, is for, just make sure everybody there's a consensus. We did not have time to put this on the agenda because we kind of noodled through this Tuesday, John and I, and there was not enough 48 hours to put it on the agenda. So what we're asking the board today is if anyone has a major concern, it's only a $12,000 change order, but we didn't want it to look like the Buildings and Grounds Committee was deciding this. So if no one has a problem, we will tell them to proceed, and then we will ratify it at the next board meeting. That's the concept. Buildings and Grounds is supportive of the change order, but I will let Rob and whoever from ERA describe it.
Okay, with us tonight is John Mayer and Andrew Custon. I can never pronounce that. I'm going to turn it right over to them to kind of explain where this came from.
Good evening. What we'd like to discuss with you is a change order for. There you are. A change order for. Yeah, isn't it? For the parking lot, the situation came up where there's an under drain that we're recommending is installed. There is an under drain that's proposed in the south parking lot. As we discovered, the soils are tight clays. We would like to recommend some additional safety and some additional drainage incorporated underneath the stone in an area about 167 feet would cover the area to drain that. Originally, we were focused more on the undercuts and some of the concerns with the material there, and within the allowances we provided for the removal of unsuitable. Today, there was a proof roll of the site. Most of the parking lot has been proof rolled and found to be good and solid, and so that will help not use the cushion for the allowance of the undercut. But on the flip side, we would like to recommend that some drain pipe be installed in that area. Yeah.
So you're talking specifically the south parking lot, or you're talking now the north?
Yep. This would be the north parking lot.
North parking lot.
Yes.
One that's already done?
Yeah, let me try if I can summarize this a little bit better, because they're obviously very familiar with the project. And what we're dealing with is the difference between the 855 Prairie lot, that is where the under drains were proposed in the plan. Where they're working right now is the Cosley lot. So that's been completely excavated. We have the rain garden. The rain garden before used to sheet flow into that open area that we cut. They've installed a curb within there, and in a traditional lot, you have enough drainage through the subsoil, the permeable pavers, that it would go down and through, and when that filled up, you would have some flow into the rain garden. Well, with that curb around there, and there's a concern that if we don't have enough drainage through that hard soil, that we're hopefully not going to have to excavate any deeper, that it's going to sit at the back of that curb, and if we get a freeze-thaw action, we could have some movement of those pavers.
Where does that drain to?
It drains into the rain garden, and then from the rain garden, there's a storm sewer that connects into what was previously there and eventually goes into Elliott Lake.
What's our allowance? What allowance do we have now, Rob?
I don't remember our total. We had, it was 25%. Do you remember what that was up here?
We're within it.
Right, for the undercuts in the bad soil?
Together, it's about 40,000, 17,000 for the undercuts, and 22,000 to haul the material offsite to a disposal facility.
Related to the undercuts.
Correct.
Okay. And after you proof rolled it, do we have an estimate as to how much we're going to have to pay of that 40 for those undercuts? I heard it went well, but I didn't really have any handle on what that means.
I'm sorry. For the total allowance for the undercuts was 285 cubic yards. From what we saw today, we've used about 40, or we will use about 40. This is just for the Cosley lot, so we still do have the Prairie lot to look at, but we're anticipating similarly stable soils where we won't have to use the full 285.
So if we have 40, we're at, okay. So if it was 140 each, we're about a third of what the allowance amount was approximately. Third to 40%. Okay. So, but if you went 140, if you said they were going to be half and half, you'd have 142 and a half on each, and you're saying we're going to use how much of this? What did we say? 40. So almost not a little more than a little less than a third. So approximately 25 to 30% we're at now. So, okay. So hopefully we'll be able to stay within the allowance of everything. Go ahead, Kim. I'm sorry.
So this problem is caused because we built a curb around the rain garden?
Well, it's a precaution. There is drainage stone underneath the curb, okay? So it isn't like the curb is poured right onto the clay, and clay does not allow water to drain through. There's some drainage stone underneath that. It's just, in certain times, like, when you have a freeze thaw and the water binds that up, like I said, it's more of a precaution.
Yeah, I can
there's
understand
an-
that. But I guess I'm curious, why did we build a curb?
Well, the curb is around the perimeter of the parking lot. And so it helps to contain the
Before, did
brick.
it just drain off?
Right.
Before it did,
Right.
correct.
We didn't have a curb. It was just asphalt. The rain garden was put in when we did the addition to the lot, and we created that in pavers, and we said, hey, one of the things that we want to do is try and be environmentally friendly, do a best management practice. So we had that, the configuration of the lot allowed us to create the rain garden in there. It wasn't a great design to it because it didn't have that curb around it, but
Okay.
we knew it was a short-term solution that we were going to have to come back in and do this additional work to it.
Okay. And so we're here today because the soil is better than we expected? Because I've yet to hear that about Wheaton, that we have soil that is better than expected.
Well, it's better from the standpoint that it's not soft, and so it's much stronger and can hold heavy
It's better to
loads.
put something on top of it.
That's right.
Because it's
That's
clay
right.
instead of
It's
black
just-
dirt.
Clay doesn't allow water to flow
It's great for constructing a parking lot.
Okay, thank you.
For everything else, it stinks. Anybody have any further questions, comments? Okay.
Yeah, my support.
Is there anybody who does not support this change order, understanding that you can vote later to do whatever the heck you want when we actually vote? But is there anybody who has a major problem with this change order as we sit today?
We're going to be within our allowance? Is that what came out of that discussion?
It appears that we will be within it or very close. Okay. Fair enough. At this point, I would ask for a motion for a very quick closed session to go in for the purchase or lease of real property under
Hold on, I have a
5.
question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Kim?
We didn't get to comments.
Oh, I thought I'm sorry. We kind of took them out of order, and I just thought you were, so please go.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, my bad.
Mike, I brought up a question last month that I'm still waiting for a response from you on our ATM servicing.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kim. I provided a response within, it was either the last or 2 weeks ago, weekly update.
The update simply said that you were contacting the bank.
No, subsequent to that, I reported that we have a contract with a firm that the bank assisted us in getting them to respond for such a small job. And I have a contract from Dunbar, who does work for Wheaton Bank and Trust, who is our banker, and we should have professionals taking care of that activity by the first week of October.
Great. Can you send that to me again? Because I did not see that. The last I saw was simply that you were communicating with the bank.
Yeah, I think it was the next
It's
weekly report.
not real clear, but there is some statement. I remember that Wheaton Bank and Trust was hopeful in getting it. I do remember
Okay.
something like that, but that's
Okay.
about
Yeah,
it. I didn't know what it was about, so I just kind of glazed over it.
I'll make a note to be more direct beyond the weekly update as well when
Yeah,
a specific question is
I
asked.
think those questions, I think it would be helpful for everybody, Mike, just to, specifically send an email to the board or bring it up, or just set it up for the next board meeting and say, here's the answers to last month's questions, if they're not urgent. I think your report would be a great time to do that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
Anything else? I didn't mean to cut you off, Kim. But now could I have the motion to go into purchase or lease of real property under 5 ILCS 120/2 paren C paren 5?
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Mee, seconded by Commissioner Morrow. Mike, will you take the roll?
Commissioner Mee?
Yep.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel? Yes. Commissioner VanderSchaaf?
Yes.
Vice President Luetkehans?
Yes. There will not be any action after the executive session, so thank you, everyone.